The biggest communication mistake organizations make with AI isn't saying the wrong thing. It's saying nothing and letting fear fill the silence. Welcome to the Blair AI Rollout Podcast, where operations leaders get a structured, practical path to rolling out AI inside their organizations. I'm Steve, creator of the Blair AI Rollout Framework. And if you're responsible for workflows, teams, or outcomes, you're in the right place. No hype, no chaos, just a clear, responsible way to move AI forward inside your organization.
Listen to questions.
This week's listener question comes from Tom. Tom is the VP of Human Resources at a regional bank with 400 employees. He's been in HR for 20 years. He's written communications about layoffs, mergers, benefit cuts, and just about every difficult workforce conversation you can imagine. And Tom says, Steve, I've been in HR for 20 years. I've written communications about layoffs, mergers, benefit cuts, you name it. But this AI announcement is the hardest thing I've ever had to write. Everything I put down either sounds like spin or accidentally sounds like a threat. My employees are nervous and I don't want to make it worse. How do I talk to them about AI before the rumor mill does it for me? Tom, 20 years in HR, and this is the hardest thing you've ever had to write. I want to sit with that for a second, because that's not a small statement coming from someone who has navigated mergers and layoffs. And I think the reason this one feels different is because it is very different from anything we have seen before. With a layoff or a merger, the news is concrete. People may not like it, but they know what it means. With AI, the news is abstract. Nobody knows exactly what it means yet. Not your employees, not your leadership team, and honestly not most of the organizations rolling it out. And abstract threats are always scarier than concrete ones. Your employees aren't nervous about AI specifically. They're nervous about uncertainty. And uncertainty, left unaddressed, becomes fear. And fear, left unaddressed, becomes resistance. And resistance is what turns a responsible AI rollout into a painful one. Tom, you already understand the stakes better than most. And the fact that you're asking how to get this right, rather than just sending a company-wide email and hoping for the best, tells me your workforce is in good hands. His question drives everything we cover today. And if you're any kind of leader who has ever struggled to find the right words for an AI conversation, stay with us. This one's for you. So, Tom, before you write a single word of that announcement, I want you to think about something. What is your workforce already saying about AI right now? Not what you've told them, not what leadership has communicated. What are they saying to each other in the break room, in the parking lot, in the group chat you're definitely not in? Because here's the reality. In a 400-person regional bank, AI is already a topic. Your employees have seen the headlines. They've heard the statistics about jobs being automated. They've got friends at other companies who've been through technology transitions that didn't go well. And they've noticed, even if nobody has said anything officially, that leadership has been having a lot of closed-door meetings lately. They're connecting dots. And when people don't have enough information to connect the dots accurately, they fill in the gaps with their worst fears. That's not a character flaw. That's human nature. We are wired to detect threats. And in the absence of clear information, our brains default to assuming the threat is bigger than it probably is. So every day that passes without a clear, honest communication from leadership is a day the rumor mill gets to shape your workforce's understanding of what's coming. And the rumor mill is never more optimistic than the truth. It's always more dramatic, always more threatening, always more certain that someone is going to lose their job. Here's what I want Tom to understand. Silence isn't neutral. Silence is a message. And the message it sends is, leadership knows something and they're not telling us. Which in a bank, with a workforce that's already nervous about AI, is about the worst message you can send. You don't have to have all the answers before you communicate. In fact, pretending you have all the answers is one of the fastest ways to lose your workforce's trust. What you have to do is show up, honestly, clearly, and before fear fills the silence you left behind. Getting to your people first isn't just good communication strategy, Tom. In a bank with 400 employees who are watching how leadership handles this, it's a trust decision. And trust, once lost in a technology transition, is very hard to rebuild. All right, so you understand why silence is the enemy. You know you need to get to your people before fear does. Now comes the harder question. What do you actually say? And this is where most AI communications go wrong. Not because the people writing them are bad communicators. Tom, you've been doing this for 20 years. You're clearly not a bad communicator, but because they answer the wrong questions. Leadership wants to talk about efficiency gains, competitive positioning, innovation, the future of the organization. And those things matter, but they are not what your employees are actually asking. Your 400 employees at that regional bank have 3 questions. And until those 3 questions get answered directly and honestly, nothing else you say is going to land. Question 1. Is my job safe? This is the question nobody wants to answer because nobody can answer it with complete certainty. But here's the thing. Dodging it is worse than addressing it directly. Your employees are not asking you to guarantee the future. They're asking you to be honest about what you know and what you don't. There's a version of this answer that is truthful, respectful, and doesn't make promises you can't keep. And that version is infinitely better than corporate language that sounds like it's hiding something. Question 2. Will I be expected to use tools I don't understand? This is the competence fear. Your employees aren't just afraid of losing their jobs. They're afraid of being left behind, of being expected to use technology they've never seen before, without training, without support, and without any acknowledgement that's a learning curve. Your communication needs to make clear that AI adoption inside your organization is going to be structured, supported, and paced. That nobody is going to be thrown into the deep end without a plan. Question 3. Does leadership actually care how this affects me? This is the human question, and it's the one most corporate AI communications completely miss. Because they're written to inform, not to connect. They cover the what and the why from a business perspective, but they never acknowledge the emotional reality of what it feels like to be an employee hearing that your organization is changing how work gets done. Tom, you have a 20-year career in HR because you understand people. That understanding is your superpower in this communication. Use it. Acknowledge that this is a big change. Acknowledge that it's normal to have questions and concerns. Acknowledge that leadership is taking this seriously, not just as a business initiative, but as a workforce decision that affects real people. Answer those 3 questions directly, honestly, and with genuine human warmth. And your employees will not just tolerate the announcement. They'll trust it. All right, so you've stopped letting silence do the damage. You know the 3 questions your employees actually need answered. Now let's talk about the mechanics of how you actually deliver this. Because here's something 20 years in HR has probably already taught you. One announcement is never enough. And this is especially true with AI, because AI adoption isn't a single event. It's an ongoing process, and your communication strategy needs to match that reality. What Tom needs isn't a communication. He needs a communication plan. Here's what that looks like in practice for a 400-person regional bank. The first communication is not the full announcement. It's the opener. It's leadership saying, "We want to talk to you about where we're headed with AI, what it means for our organization, and what it means for you. We don't have every answer yet, but we're committed to keeping you informed every step of the way." That's it. Short, honest, human. It opens the door without overwhelming people. The second communication goes deeper. This is where you answer the 3 questions. Is my job safe? Will I be supported through this? Does leadership care about how this affects me? This communication has more detail, more context, and a clear invitation for employees to ask questions. And Tom, that invitation has to be real, not a suggestion box nobody reads. A genuine, accessible channel where people can ask what they're actually thinking without fear of judgment. The third communication is the update. What's happening, what's working, what you're learning. This one is critical because it signals to your workforce that this isn't a one-time announcement followed by silence. Leadership is paying attention, staying accountable, and keeping people in the loop. Now let's talk about format for a moment. In a regional bank with 400 employees, not everyone is sitting at a desk reading email. You've got branch staff, operations teams, back office, different audiences with different communication habits. A single company-wide email is not a communication plan. It's a checkbox. Think about where your different employee groups actually get information. Some need a manager-led conversation in a team meeting. Some need a FAQ document they can read on their own time. Some need to hear it directly from a senior leader they respect. The media matters as much as the message. And finally, timing. Don't wait until everything is perfectly figured out to start communicating. By the time you have all the answers, the rumor mill has already been running for months. Start early, stay consistent, and update often. Tom, you've been in HR for 20 years because you understand that how you communicate a change matters as much as the change itself. This is no different. One announcement won't do it, but a thoughtful, honest, human communication plan, one that answers the real questions, acknowledges the real fears, and keeps the conversation open. That's what turns a nervous workforce into a workforce that trusts leadership to get this right.
AI hot tip.
Here's this week's AI hot tip. Before you write a single word of your AI communication, do this one thing first. Walk the floor, or pick up the phone, or stop by a team meeting you wouldn't normally attend, and just listen. Ask one simple, open question. What are you hearing about AI lately? Not what do you think about our AI initiative? Not are you worried about your job? Just what are you hearing? That question does something remarkable. It tells you exactly what the rumor mill is already saying. It shows your employees that leadership is listening before it's talking. And this gives you the raw material you need to write a communication that actually addresses what people are thinking, instead of what leadership assumes they're thinking. In a 400-person regional bank, you probably can't talk to everyone before the announcement goes out. But if you can talk to 10 people across different teams and roles, branch staff, operations, back office, you'll have a pretty clear picture of what your workforce is actually feeling. The best AI communications aren't written in a boardroom. They're written by leaders who took the time to listen first. Walk the floor this week. You'll write a better announcement because of it. All right, let's bring it home. Here's what we covered today. First, silence is the enemy. Every day that passes without a clear, honest communication from leadership is a day the rumor mill gets to shape your workforce's understanding of what's coming. Silence isn't neutral. Silence is a message. And in a technology transition, it's almost always the wrong one. Second, answer the 3 questions your employees are actually asking. Is my job safe? Will I be expected to use tools I don't understand? And does leadership actually care how this affects me? Those are the questions driving the fear. Answer them directly, honestly, and with genuine human warmth. And your workforce will trust the communication instead of dreading it. Third, build a communication plan, not a communication. One announcement is never enough. Open the conversation early, go deeper in the follow-up, and keep updating as things develop. Match your format to your audience. And never wait until you have all the answers before you start talking, because by then, fear has already filled the silence. And Tom, thank you. 20 years in HR, and you still care enough to get this right. Your employees may never know how hard you worked on that announcement, but they'll feel it. And in a technology transition that's going to ask a lot of your workforce, that feeling of being seen, heard, and respected by leadership is worth more than any perfectly crafted corporate message. Walk the floor first, then write the announcement.
Optimistic AI thought of the week.
And finally, here's this week's optimistic AI thought of the week. There's a version of AI adoption that history is going to look back on and cringe at. The version where organizations treated their workforce as an afterthought, where announcements were drafted by legal and approved by PR and delivered to employees who had no idea it was coming. Well, the first time someone heard about the AI initiative was in a company-wide email with 3 bullet points and a link to an FAQ nobody wrote yet. That version exists. It's happening right now in organizations everywhere. But here's what gives me genuine optimism. For every organization handling this badly, there are HR leaders like Tom, operations leaders like Maria, IT managers like Hugh, directors like Rhonda, people who are losing sleep over getting this right, people who are asking the hard questions before the announcement goes out, people who understand that AI adoption is not just a technology initiative, it is a human one. And those leaders, the ones who walk the floor before they write the memo, who answer the real questions instead of the comfortable ones, who build communication plans instead of sending a single email and hoping for the best. Those are the ones whose organizations are going to come out of this transition with something most organizations are going to struggle to rebuild. Trust. Workforce trust is the single most underrated asset in any AI rollout. It's what makes employees willing to try new tools. It's what makes pilots succeed. It's what makes responsible scaling possible. And it's built one honest conversation at a time. Tom, you've been building that trust for 20 years. This is just the next chapter. Keep going. That's a wrap on episode 5 of season 3 of the Blair AI Rollout Podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, if you heard yourself in Tom's situation, here's your next step. Head over to blairts.com/framework. Take the free AI readiness score and find out exactly where your organization stands today. Because before you can communicate an AI rollout to your workforce, you need to know what you're actually rolling out. The framework gives you that clarity. Link is in the show notes. Keep those listener questions coming. This show exists because of questions like Tom's and Maria's and Hugh's and Rhonda's and David's. Send yours to steve@blairts.com. I read every single one, and your question could drive a future episode. If you found value today, please take 30 seconds and leave a review wherever you listen. It helps more operations leaders find the show, and it genuinely means everything. I'm Steve. This is the Blair AI Rollout Podcast. Let's roll this out the right way.